I like how Cass is subtly just like kind of driving the car. She's like,
I'm not driving the car. I'm just pointing at the map and being like, typical man, why won't you ask for directions? And you're like, no, I can drive. And I'm like, but we missed the pit stop. Could we just, park the car at that gas station over there and look at the map? And you're like, bitch, no. きっと約束だよいつかまた同じ笑顔で
What's up, everybody? This is Any Chatbox episode 11. I'm one of your hosts, Craig. Along with the grand company, we are the Three Musketeers here. We don't have the fourth, surprisingly. It's okay, they'll come later. But let me introduce the ragtag team of the Musketeers. Our lovely producer/seducer, Cass.
Yo.
And he's always British. He's always the most gentlemanly out of all of us. Sergio Starson.
Hello.
Good Except when he's not.
What? Is he not a gentleman?
Well, no, I was referring when he's not British. Of course when he's not a gentleman. No one's a gentleman 2,500% of the time. I was going to say 25% of the time.
I was about to say 25.
He's not a gentleman 100% of the time. There we go. I can't math.
25/7. That's what I was going to think that you were going to say.
I was going to say 25 hours a day. And I was like, hang on, is this Persona 3?
This isn't a math
the dark
podcast.
Hour.
This isn't a math podcast. This isn't a Persona podcast. That was a couple episodes ago. Anyway, moving on.
Anyway, you can find our lovely things, our socials. We have socials, yes. You can hit us up on the twitter.com/theanychatbox, or hit us up on the emails. Currently, we have no emails, which feed us emails because we would like, if you want to get a topic, you want to suggest a review, something, hit us up, anychatmail@gmail.com. We also have, we also have things for you to listen outside of the YouTube space for your lovely ears. Our gracious ASMR-esque voices can now grace your ears via other means. Cass, hit us up. What do we got? We got new things in the pipe.
We do, and they're not even in the pipe. They're already coming out of the drain, or...
You're right. They did.
The faucet,
it was a fast process.
They're coming out of the faucet, not the drain.
The Drano worked quick with this one.
We don't want them to come out of the drain, because then nobody's going to be able to access them. They'll be going into the sewers. We want them to come out of the faucet and into the lovely, lovely glasses of ice that they can go ahead and quench their thirst for anime goodness with us.
Are you saying anime is a good, crisp, like Dasani water?
No.
Purified water?
I'm saying you're interrupting me, you rude face.
Motherfucker, I am making conversation.
Anyway, so we're now available at iTunes via SoundCloud. So you can go to SoundCloud and look up Any Chatbox, and you can listen to all of our episodes there. And because we have them on SoundCloud, we were able to reroute them to all of your devices via iTunes. If you have an iPhone, which will reroute it to other things such as Overcast and so on and so forth. But anyway, while we were getting this set up, Craig, being the mastermind that he is, took all of the information that I was setting up and said, hey, so I'm going to take this and put it other places. What other places were those, Craig? Why don't you tell me?
I will do just that. So I decided to plug that fancy RSS feed into TuneIn, Google Play, then the Stitcher. So not only your Apple devices can grace our podcast can grace that device. We can also be on your Droid devices because we want to spread the love to everyone with our voice.
Yeah, because I have an iPhone, but I mean I'll forgive people like John. It's okay.
I was about to say one of my friends, Paul, has a Droid too. So we're trying to rep all the rest of the world out there.
And yeah, I am an Android user, so...
I know. But that being said, iPhone users, Android users, smartphone users, you can access our information. And listen to our podcasts via whatever podcast app you use, whether it be via Google Play, via iTunes, via Stitcher, or via TuneIn. And we will leave the links to at least the SoundCloud and other such lovely little representations of where to go to get this information in the description below.
Yes. Also, goes without saying, hit us up and just leave us a review. Give us stars. We are all stars here.
You get to be a star. Poof.
Poof.
That is a reference. Cookies,
right.
Cookies to whoever emails me and tells me what that reference is. Bam.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about fan service.
I love how you completely ignored my joke. But I understand.
Listen,
you were distracted by fan service.
I was, otherwise known as plot. Steam has a lot of plot.
It is time for plot.
The question is here, I want to pose to you two, is when is fan service good? Basically, we all know that really within fandoms and whatnot, even within the medium itself, fan service can be blatant. It can be like with quote unquote plot, or it can be subtle nod to a homage, if you will, to a previous callback or whatnot. I just want to know, gauge the room here. What is your take on fan service? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Could you just go without it? I mean, what are we talking here?
Well, that's why I was hoping we would just start out generally instead of you listing every single thing we were going to talk about. But whatever, this is fine.
Hey, I was about to say I want to break it down, distill it, and then we can construct it again.
But, okay. Anyway, I guess we can talk about how each of us feels about it. And we can go in a circle. And since I took the mic from you, I guess I'll go first. Personally, I kind of hate fan service.
Why is that?
Man, you cut me off one more time. I'm gonna kill you. On live air. I will do it.
Are you gonna fight me?
I will do it. You are my roommate. I will walk into your room and slaughter you.
This is proof, ladies and gentlemen.
We're gonna edit this out in post, totally. Nobody heard anything. Anyway.
Proof.
Anyway, so personally, I'm not a huge fan of fan service in the most contemporary sense that people think of fan service in. When I say the word fan service or, I hate fan service, a lot of people immediately know I'm talking about the over-sexualization of both male and female characters. Okay. It's distracting, and most of the time I hate it. I understand that sex sells. That's something that has been sold to us since we were kids and we didn't even notice it. But the problem is that I don't feel that you need to have it in a story for it to be good. If you need to have a panty shot in your show to get my attention, then your story is terrible. In most cases. There are cases where that's not the case, but in general, that's why I tend to despise, at least in the over-sexualization of characters, fan service. Even for myself, I'm not gonna lie, I like some man service. But even free was a little much for me,
those rippling abs, right?
I want to... A slight nod is fine. I'm not gonna lie, every now and again, I enjoy the occasional panty shot and be like, oh dang, I want a pair of those. But when you have a girl falling over and her ass falls in your face, and you can literally see his nose and her camel toe on screen, just... I don't understand. Like, why is that appealing? And I guess that's what it is. It's not servicing me, I guess. However, there is one form of fan service that I really like, and I guess we can just go back and forth between these two and how everybody feels about it.
Yeah.
But the second form of fan service that I actually like is when you are watching a show, for example, and they make nods or point to things that people who have been fans of a series for a long time will notice and be so excited about it. I know this happened with Gundam Build Fighters.
Yeah.
A lot of homages and whatnot.
Yeah, a lot of people who I watched this show with are huge Gundam fans. And there were moments where they'd be like, oh my fucking god, they did the thing! And,
Yes.
but the thing is that them doing the thing didn't distract me as somebody who knows shit about Gundam. It didn't ruin the story. It wasn't a huge thing. It wasn't a huge impact. And it just was there for people to appreciate and service the fans, but wasn't in-your-face distraction.
It was like icing on the cake.
Yeah, the same thing happened, and not to spoil too much, but the same thing happened, for example, in the most recent memory for me when I went to see the Sword Art Online Ordinal Scale movie. There were moments in that movie that were blatantly pointed towards Sword Art Online fans. As someone who's watched all of Sword Art Online, I know. And there were moments that, and this is why I love going to movie showings with anime fans, there were moments where people were literally standing up and cheering because of stuff that was going on the screen.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I know that, and dude, I'm going to request, John, that when you watch that movie, I get to watch it with you, because as I know you're a huge Sword Art Online fan, and I want to hear your girlish squeals, because there was plenty of it. Anytime Kirito even so much as looked at Asuna, there was a squeal in the fucking audience. But that wasn't just the only fan service. There was plenty more points back to previous characters in the show, previous clothes that they wore. And that kind of fan service is something that I can respect because it's servicing the fans, but not in a way that's going to be a complete detriment to the plot or the entire plot itself. And it moves the story along and gives the fans something that they can smile and feel good about. Okay, somebody else's turn.
I want to just really quickly say that if you hadn't brought up Gundam Build Fires, I would have just now, because, yeah, that start to finish is full of that good kind of fan service that is just like, remember that thing from this completely unrelated series of Gundam that we did years ago? Well, here it is again. Like the fact that Rambarel is in it. Like,
yep,
they didn't need to have Rambarel come back as a mainstay character, but he's there, and it's awesome.
Yeah, and you as a huge Gundam fan were able to pick up on who he was, and me as somebody who has not watched a single freaking Gundam show minus Gundam Build Fighters was able to go, God, that guy's kind of cool. I like that guy. He's neat.
There's no Zaku boy. No Zaku.
So does that kind of service, like, does that kind of fan service tend to make you feel good, or is it something that you don't like?
I love that kind of fan service, because
obviously,
when you pick up on it, it's awesome. You're just like, yay! Exactly as you said, or fangirl squeal, or whatever it is that you may do. I tend to go back and forth depending on it. On the other hand, the now typical kind of fan service that, you know, is the bane of a lot of people's existence when it comes to anime, the over-sexualized kind of fan service, I'm a bit more tolerable of it than others, I noticed.
Way more than me.
Yeah, but there have been times where I have looked at a series, and it might have been one that I was considering watching, just haven't watched yet, and then pretty much all that I end up seeing of it on social media is fan service, like this, all this sexualized fan service. I'm like, okay, is there actually any point to the series beyond booby
is
and
there
panty
plot
shots?
Beneath the plot?
You know, is there any point in me actually watching this? Is there going to be anything I'm going to take away from this? And there probably is. It's just being poorly represented. But even that can be enough to turn me away from the series, even as a guy who normally doesn't care. Though then, that being said, there has been the occasional time where I've gone in to a series knowing it's fanservice-y, kind of because it's fan servicey, just because that's what I was in the mood for. So
yeah, definitely. And I mean, I can't claim to be a complete angel either. I mean, one of the main reasons I watched Yuri on Ice was because I was like, ooh, hey.
You're like, that
Hey.
Victor. Hello, Victor.
Oh, dude.
And you see his butt, and you're just squeal.
Yeah, man. And that's one of the things that, like, for example, that was great about Yuri on Ice was there was blatant pandering there. And there was blatant fan service, man service, but it wasn't overwhelming, and it wasn't the like, I don't feel like that was what was drawing people to watch Yuri on Ice. Most of the time when I ask people, hey, why did you watch Yuri on Ice? It's going to be, oh, the story really intrigued me, or the idea of a specific couple intrigued me, or, God, that freaking animation, or, ooh, ice skating. There has never been a time, and there may be this person out there, I almost am sure there is, but nobody I know I've gone up to and said, hey, why did you watch Yuri on Ice? And they were like, dad ass no.
It's probably one of many points. Probably on the tier list is probably fluctuates depending on person to person.
But I mean, that fan service of, oh, there's these pretty boys that may be in mildly sexual encounters with each other, or I can make them feel that way in my head because I'm a dirty, rotten fujoshi, and at least I'll admit it. I mean, that, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a saint either.
You ain't no saint.
I mean, I guess in that way, fan service does appeal to me in some way or another, but I don't like an over excessive amount of it, I suppose. But what about you, Craig? How do you feel about it? I think me and John have very similar, or not similar, but we're kind of in the same vein of we really love fan service when it nods to the fans. Yes. Personally, but not necessarily when it's tits, ass.
See, my thought is, if you, I'm going to bring up an example of that here in a hot minute, but like, let's say the typical fan service, what we think of the over-sexualization of the male and female is really, more, in my case, maybe I'm not seeing the outlet of media for it, is like the male harem, or not the male harem, the female harem to a guy. So like although it's not too fan servicey, but it's like Nisei Koi, or like, oh man, it's the guy is a ditz, and he falls over with the girl and he grabs her boobs, and then you see a little, like, a part of a boob, or like you said earlier, he trips and then he falls down and you see her panties or whatever, or she trips and you see her camel toe. It's usually set in a way to tease the guy, because again, sex sells or whatnot, and it's always usually set in a high school setting. I find that kind of hit or miss with me. It depends really on how invested in these characters I am. Like, if they're dits, it's just like, man, you're one trick pony at that point. Case in example, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. There's Lucola, the girl with the the two different colored eyes. Her whole entire shtick is, I'm wearing scantily clad outfits, and my boobs are jiggling, and they make a sound effect every single time my boobs jiggle. I'm like,
well, that happens
at first,
a lot. And I think that's what we were basically pointing to with generalized fan service, and what people most of the time, when you say anime and fan service in the same sentence, that's what they're going to think of.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I don't want to be hit over the face with it. A tease would be nice, right? A nice balance, or tastefully done if it's interwoven with the plot. Like, if you want to get a little like promiscuous, like Scum's Wish or something like that, where it's integrated.
Service though.
Ah, okay.
Like, I think that we need to have a conversation about that, because somebody engaging because somebody naturally like engaging in sexual intercourse, that's not fan service. That's actually part of the plot. Gotcha. And not even plot in the way that you're saying it is a joke. Like, that is actually, for example, in Scum's Wish, and we'll talk about Kobayashi's Maid Dragon and Scum's Wish on future episodes, but in Scum's Wish, people having sexual encounters with each other is part of the plot and interweaves the characters and their interactions with each other. And John can back me up on this. He's watched a few episodes of it. They're not kissing just for kissing's sake. They're not having sex of course. To have sex. However, when there is a girl running through a high school who randomly trips and falls on a guy, and her boobs end up in his face, and he reaches out and squeezes it accidentally, ooh, how does that contribute to the plot?
It doesn't. And let me tell you, just for a little smatter spoiler, it happens in Fuka just a few times.
I mean, that's that would be cool too. Actually, John, you go first, because I just came up with a really cool question.
There is actually one example of the sexualized fan service that I actually found really amusing when they did it, and it was kind of acknowledging that this kind of fan service is a thing and overdone, and we're still going to, the series still had a thing about being fan servicey, but they were aware of some of the fan service tropes and they were trying to subvert them, and that was Myriad of Colors Phantom World. And when one of the female characters, whose name I have just forgotten off the top of my head, hang on just a moment.
The blonde.
Is this going to be the boob limbo? Is this boob limbo? Are we going to talk about the boob limbo?
No,
yeah,
not the
blonde.
boob limbo, actually.
Because that is blatant bad fan service.
It really is.
No, that is not the scene I am referring to. I wish these pictures would load up quickly.
Well, you can just describe it if you'd like.
Yeah.
Because no one's going to be able to see it, because we're all audio anyway. If you want to describe the situation.
It's the girl that has the power to eat anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
To seal things away. When she's first introduced, they bump into each other. The girl falls over, he falls over in a way that he's going to end up, like, grabbing her boob and face planting into her underwear. And he's like, no, this is such a typical scene. So he grabs his own hand and yanks it and spins himself around mid-air to prevent that from happening. But unfortunately, his little tiny pixie phantom friend also tries to help save him and ends up flipping him over and making the scenario worse for him. Like, while he would have saved himself, her extra help to try and save him end up making it actually play out in almost the exact same way, but the fact that they nodded to, yes, this is an overdone thing, here's our little twist on it to make it maybe get a giggle out of you, that actually made me really laugh while I watched it play out. And even though the end result ended up being the same, I still found it hilarious.
Yeah, and comedy is really subjective to begin with, and I want to make a point that none of us, Craig being very, what's the word for it, liberal, and John being much more liberal. I know I've been the one hating on fan service the most this episode. I don't
throwing shade here.
I don't dislike people who like fan service. I feel like I should put that out there. Everybody has their own cup of tea. It's just not mine. I don't know. I just typically. I can't handle it. But that's actually another question that's actually would be kind of interesting to discuss. Because I know you mentioned Fuka, Craig.
Yes.
So for a while there, a lot of the descriptions for Fuka basically just said, oh, this guy accidentally sees this girl's panties and she breaks his phone. What adventures will they have? And it's like that's not a very good representation of Fuka, really.
No, it's not.
At least from what I've seen.
Sells it.
And I'm not gonna lie, when I first started watching Fuka, there is a scene where that does happen. She thinks he sees her panties and she breaks his phone and gets super pissy about it. And I'm not gonna lie, I rolled my eyes. I thought it was dumb. But at the same time, there's a lot more to the story than you would think. So are there any animes that you guys can think of that you thought were going to be super fan servicey and then you went in and you're like, oh wow, this is a really good show? Even though there may have been some fan service and that may have been your introduction to it, you actually got kind of a diamond in the rough kind of deal.
It's really hard telling in that case.
I mean, I have one, but we're going to talk about it later.
Oh, right. There's that.
Can you sense the transition? Can you sense it?
It isn't coming. However, let me just say to reference a good bit of fan service. So, like I said, like overtly, if you want to go in hard on fan service, might I recommend a show like, well, even so, you could even go harder with it. You could go watch hentai. But, like, if you want a real, like, tease, there's, like, that one show that me and you watched, that Hybrid X Heart X Hard or whatever that is. If
But
you're just
that's
so
not a good
so
show.
shameless,
Don't recommend
No, it's
that
not.
show.
I'm just okay. Fine. Then let me recommend this good type of fan service. Fan service, much like Gundam Build Fighters, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. You have pretty men with pretty outfits, and after Stardust Crusaders, mind
Are
you.
they
So you have to get.
Because honestly, I think most of the JoJo's characters are pretty ugly.
Listen, you haven't seen Giorno Giovanni with his donut hair.
I have. The
You
donut
still-
hair is super unattractive.
Whatever. That's one side. I mean, he tries to draw. Araki tries to draw pretty slender men, so like metrosexual.
So he
he
likes to draw creepy guys that follow you in the woods.
and apparently lick your cheek and say you taste like a liar.
I
But
don't think
there's
that's
that.
what Slender Man does. I think he kills you. I don't know. I never played
damn it.
Slender Man.
Right.
But no, I
Also,
think there's a different way that you could go with this, because isn't JoJo's like basically just one gigantic big fan service thing of being manly for being the sake of manly? Like, isn't that what JoJo's
yes.
is?
It is also the fact with he likes fashion and he likes music. He loves Western music, so everything, his character names to his stand names and power sets, all named namesake after songs or artists. So you have like Queen, Sheer Heart Attack, Gold Harvest. The list goes on and on.
Savage Garden.
Savage Garden. That is an ending. An ending to Diamond is Unbreakable. Red Hot Chili Peppers.
You may want to mention that you were talking about JoJo's author, by the way.
Hiroyuki Aki. Araraki. That's his last name. I'd have to look it up off the top of my head. But either way, that's a good type of fan service. If you're a music buff and you just like a Hokuto no Ken, sort of like a manly, just like pummel the guy down just to like enjoy it, to get into it, and a sheer shonen aspect, that's a good type of fan service. I love that.
I mean, is that answering my question though? Like where I said, did you go into something thinking it was going to be fan servicey and it was good? Is that what you meant? Or
yeah,
okay,
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, like JoJo's essentially, it's just like, this is dumb, and like it's got like men essentially like it's so self-aware but to a point, and it makes so many homages to music. Even though I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of music, I was recommended it because I love shonen, so why not?
What about you, John? Have you ever gone into a show thinking it was going to be super fan servicey and then it surprised you? Either with its fan service or was actually just really good?
I know there was one.
I mean, I mentioned Yuri on Ice.
Oh,
I thought that was going to be just one big thing.
One was actually, Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? I really put off watching that because all I had seen was these fan service clips.
Boob ribbon.
Hestia.
And the boob ribbon and stuff. Even as a huge Sword Art Online fan, and it took a lot of people recommending it to me for me to actually give it a go. And there was actually another one, Dust Maiden of Amnesia, which actually started off pretty fan servicey.
Oh,
but
yeah.
as the series continued, it really toned back on the fan servicey, on the fan service nature of it, and towards the end you kind of forget, oh yeah, this series started off with lots of fan servicey scenes, so it actually really ends up a really good series by the end of it.
I need to go back and watch it. That was one of the reasons why I stopped watching it, was because I watched the first 3 episodes and I was like, this is so bad.
Yeah, the fan service is a bit much in the first few episodes of it, but if you can get past that, there is a really cool story that delves in some, it just ends up really cool by the end of it, and you won't necessarily see it coming from seeing the fan service. And while it doesn't, well, there is an episode like later on, which does get fan service here again, is far from ends up being the focus of the series. So,
So I guess at this point we've all basically determined that is fan service good or is fan service bad? It's all up to your shit taste.
Essentially, I'll take it in moderation. Also, the JoJo's author is Hirohiko Araki.
I thought you said that.
I just looked that up.
Well, you know another show that I was really turned off of because it was super fan servicey, but that I ended up kind of liking it.
Everything?
Keijo. Keijo.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. You're elongating
sorry, I had
a little
to include
bit.
all of the exclamation points.
How many exclamation points?
7, I think. 1, 2, 3,
God.
4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 exclamation points.
I honestly thought there were 8.
There might be 8. Let me go recheck.
We're doing this live, people. We're doing it live.
3, 4, 5, 6. I'm counting 7.
Okay, fair enough. Cass, do you want to introduce this one?
No, that's your job. You're the host.
Fine.
I did the transition for you. Don't make me do the rest of your job. Jesus Christ.
I felt as though it was seamless, but whatever. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about fan service today, so we're going to continue this fan service train, the plot train, with the sports extreme.
Oh god, it might be 8.
Edge.
1, 2.
God.
They're all so close together. 1, 2,
the
3,
edge
4, 5,
of.
I think it's 8. Let's go with 8.
Oh my god. So, the extreme sports of Keijo. Let's break it down. So, this anime was in the fall of 2016. Ran for 12 episodes. Studio is Zebek, or Zebek. I don't know how, with the X. 2 notable shows that they have done, 2 little gems of good or bad quality, depending on who you ask. One of them being Martian's successor, Nadesco. I know one of us here loves said show.
Good
Don't know who
series,
that could
awesome. Highly recommended. Find it, go watch it. It's great.
It's apparently going to be released on Blu-ray.
So who was the one who liked it? I don't know who it is. I don't know who it is.
Well,
Gee, I wonder.
I hear the movie is bad though. Either way, speaking of another thing that's also bad, To Love Ru.
Hey now, there are some people who like To Love Ru, even though it's garbage.
Listen, I know someone that's so easy to please that he couldn't even get past the first 2 episodes. Shout out to Pete.
Hey man, I know some people who love To Love Ru, and I question their taste, but that is okay. Because that is their taste.
Cute. I've actually only seen the first series of To Love Ru, but
If you want to see fan service for the sake of fan service and why fan service pisses me off, go watch To Love Ru.
There's that too.
Watch the Blu-rays. That way it removes everything, and then you're just like, why am I watching this?
Why can't they just go all out? Jesus Christ. If you're gonna go that far, then just show me everything. I know censor laws are a thing in Japan. I understand. But at the same time, I just wanted to make the comment. If you're gonna tease me, just give me the fucking nipple. I don't care.
Actually,
give him the tit.
With the Blu-rays of To Love Ru, with the second series onwards, you can get the uncensored versions, so...
Oh, no, I know you can. I'm just talking about when they air.
Yep. Yeah, just go all out. Just go all out. Put it at midnight and go.
Yeah, even if they did put it at midnight, they probably have to censor it, because that's just law in Japan.
Yeah.
Anyway, censorship is a big deal there. But we're not talking about censorship. I'll write that down for
That's also another thing we could discuss. Yeah.
I'll write that down for another episode, because there's...
Put it in the can.
Because I feel like censorship goes far beyond just titties, but...
Mm-hmm.
But why don't we talk more about Keijo? Why don't you tell me what Keijo's about? Tell me everything.
Everything? This series is set in an alternate reality where a new women-only gambling sport known only as Keijo quickly becomes a fad in Japan. A fad, really? Okay. Since its introduction in the dawn of the 21st century, Keijo matches are held atop a floating platform known only as a land quote-unquote land, in a large water-filled stadiums where swimsuit-clad players fight to incapacitate their opponents or push them out to the water. But they can only hit each other using their breasts and buttocks. Nozomi Kaminashi is a gifted gymnast who decides to give up on her dream of competing in the Olympics and becomes a Keijo player instead, aiming for the high earnings offered there in order to get herself and her younger siblings out of poverty. As she enters the world of Keijo, Nozomi makes new friends and rivals while learning that the way to fame and fortune in the new uncommon sport will have more challenge than she ever imagined. This is a description of Keijo.
Well, all right.
Yep.
Hey, all right. So I'm gonna break this down. I knew this was dumb from the get-go. I saw the PVs of girls hitting each other with like shonen-esque superpower charged moves with their buttocks. I saw the. Besides the PV, I saw a clip on Tumblr where they remixed one of the girls, the pink-haired girl, Kowai. They remixed it with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure music with the signature like mangaka sort of like onomatopoeias that they show in the panels. And I was like, oh man, this show's hardcore. She incapacitated a person by literally like phasing like Dragon Ball Z. I want to watch more of this. And yes, my friends did say I have garbage taste in anime. What up? I don't care.
Let's talk about the actual anime, can we?
There's actually a couple of things I want to say about Keijo. The first one is actually with regards to this sport that it's represented. I swear that while not as big a thing as this series makes it out to be, I swear it is actually a thing in Japan
in real life?
In Japan in real life. But unfortunately I wasn't able to find any video examples of it to prove this. But I know this isn't the first time it's come up because Dead or Alive Extreme Volleyball or whatever has it as a mini game.
You're right. I forgot.
I mean, they have girls wrestling each other in Jello on regular television. I mean, I don't think girls wrestling in strange substances is a new
concept.
Yeah, a new concept or anything.
Yeah, I swear it's one of those dumb Japanese game show type things where like, hey, here's this dumb segment that we're gonna come up with. And I swear it's that kind of thing, but unfortunately I couldn't find any. And I was like, I'm gonna have to back this up with footage to prove it, but unfortunately when I was trying to find it, I didn't know what to look for to find that. But it's definitely one of the mini games that you can play in one of the Dead or Alive beach volleyball. Extreme beach volleyball.
I actually forgot about that until you brought that up.
Yeah, though I think that the thing that makes Keijo interesting is that they may even make a note of putting it in the description that this is an alternate universe where this is a really big thing.
Yeah.
Like, this is a huge sport.
People gamble on this shit.
Yeah. Which, by the way, they never showed gambling, which was weird.
No.
Like, they make such a big deal about it being a gambling sport, but we never actually... what? But, yeah, this is a big deal. Though I know...
I want to go all in.
I know, Craig, that you said that you were attracted to the show because you said it looked quote-unquote dumb.
Yeah.
And that you saw a bunch of stuff on Tumblr and yada, yada, yada. But why don't we talk about the actual story? I mean, when you actually got into it, was it dumb to you? Or did you find the story actually, what little of a story there is, intriguing? Because, God, do I have shit to talk about.
I was about to say, like, it's kind of... And people know the format of this, it's kind of, like, hard to, like, really judge what you consider a spoiler. So it follows the same formulaic sort of thing of any sports anime would, or sport in general, where you get the rookie that's introduced into a brand new world. They have some compatriots, or they meet compatriots. So the only comparison that I can think of off the top of my head is like Shokugeki no Soma or Food Wars, where the kid's like actually really fucking good. In this case, Nozomi's actually really fucking good. and she gets into the school, and she's put in like the shit tier class, right? And that's where she meets her friends. So you get Sayaka, you got Non, and you got Alba-san, and everyone loves Alba-san.
Hashtag best girl.
Yeah, right. We can talk more about her here in a hot minute, but it's just more. It's just the story of essentially, a girl trying to essentially get better, and she goes through training regiments. They have classes dedicated to this. They have science to actually butts and all that sort of stuff, which honestly I don't really get, but it's a thing apparently.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like in any sport where like swimmers will need to know how their bodies work, and will need to know the basics of like how I'm moving my body in the water is going to make me go faster. So I think they were just trying to make this look as much like a real sport as humanly possible, because when you become a professional athlete, that sport is your life.
Yeah. And you gotta go pro or whatnot. You gotta and that's also another bit which they bring up. So everyone has a special talent, like a crazy shonen-esque skill, and Nozomi's is essentially called the vacuum butt cannon, where she literally twists her hip, and the Keijo is also known as like hip whip girl, to essentially rotate her hip in such a way that it builds momentum to essentially pressurize wind to knock her opponents off the land. And her instructor, or her teacher, says, yo, this could actually ruin your career, and you might not go pro if you continue to do this, because it will actually fuck up your whole entire hips if you do this.
Right, and
which I found interesting.
Yeah, but overall, like, what did you think of this story?
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm kind of beating around the bush.
Yeah,
because
you gotta tell me, like, because I have a lot of trouble with the quote-unquote story of Keijo, and I want...
There is none.
Exactly. And I wanted to ask you, because in the description, even as you were reading it, I have a few problems. One. She quit the Olympics, or a chance at the Olympics, supposedly, which, by the way, is never really fully shown in the show. It just looks like a girl is intrigued and wants to go and do Keijo. I mean, to help with her starving family, which, by the way, we never see or meet or see that they're destitute in any way, shape, or form. Yet they
only mention it once or twice.
And they never show it. Like, we have no reason to believe that this girl...
There's no letters.
Like, needed to go and have... Like, for all intents and purposes, she just looks like a Genki girl that wants to fight people with her ass. And we never really get that backstory for any of the characters.
We get more backstory for Sayaka.
Right?
In that regard.
Yeah, that's true.
And I guess we could talk more about that when we get to the character section, but, like, the quote-unquote story of what's trying to influence her to go into this, like, big world of Keijo is not really accurately represented. And two,
it's not.
You cannot tell me, I don't care if this is in an alternate fucking reality, that you being a Olympic superstar is not going to get you some form of money.
Yeah.
I actually completely forgot about that whole aspect of the story, of the quote-unquote story, because it probably comes up in episode 1 and then never mentioned again. Cause, like,
right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I know...
They just...
Yeah, man. It's like, I know that it's not like the huge basis of the story, but come on.
I was about to say, I don't know how deep it is. Like, I can't really draw any comparisons to any other deep form of, like, a sports. Like, she's not really an underdog.
No.
And they don't really go in, they don't, maybe they flesh it out in the manga, because, like I said, this is only...
Well, we're not talking about the manga. We're supposed to...
I know, I'm just saying, like, it's a possibility. I highly doubt it.
I think the only reason why she's quote-unquote an underdog is because... Sayaka comes from a known judo family, and other Keijo players are from, they have previous Keijo players as their parents. Nozomi doesn't have any of that background behind her, so she is just a quote-unquote country bumpkin that's come out of nowhere and just risen up. But even then, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say that. I think the country bumpkin technically was known. That was the joke.
Ye-
And I
the
wouldn't...
Kensai.
And you have to remember, even though Sayaka had the kendo background or whatever, she also ended up in the shit tier class at first.
Yeah, it's true.
And also,
That is true.
Nozomi was an Olympic like level gymnast.
I'll be quite honest.
Again, they never
So-
really bring that up, so...
I was about to say, I'll be quite honest, until just reading that description, I wasn't even aware of it, or the fact that she turned that down. I thought she was like, I graduated high school, and I discovered this, and I heard it pays well, so why the fuck not? Just go all in, and it's so cool to fight girls on the land and push them into water, and I'm like, for real though? Man, if girls actually fought with their boobs and butts on a platform, that'd be extreme. Also probably very painful, but that's besides the point.
As a woman, I can confirm that would be very painful and not a good idea.
Mm.
Those are very sensitive parts of the body. And also in some of the
Yeah.
ways they contorted those parts of the body in this show made me cringe as a
There-
female.
There's some that made me cringe watching. I was like, oh, that looks...
that nipple twist cannon bullshit.
Oh, yes.
Oh god, ow.
Exactly.
But yeah, I guess we can all agree that for the most part the story here is at best.
Questionable.
It's very it's
the-
very thin.
Yeah, but also I guess we could also make a point that this isn't about story. This show isn't
No.
about story at all. It's about the characters and the sport. So
Yeah.
I guess we can all talk about how we felt about the characters and maybe even how those characters interacted with the sport and with their different motivations. Where I know that
Yeah.
John mentioned Sayaka, and Craig, I think you mentioned somebody else. My brain's dying. Kawaii and the other girls
Yes,
who are
Kawaii.
side characters and how they interact.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of hijacking your hosting position. I'm a terrible person. I'm gonna shut up.
I was about to say, you're pretty much taking the wheel. You're driving the car. You are the Ignis.
Nah, man,
Continue.
you can take the wheel from here. I just wanted us to get over to characters instead
The
of us
character
randomly
section.
instead of us randomly talking about how there isn't something here for story forever, because there
we need
isn't.
structure.
Let's talk about the plot or lack thereof of the characters and how we felt about them. And I'm gonna shut up and let one of you guys talk.
All right, so let me break it down. The characters are the meat and potatoes of the show, despite being not very fleshed out. Besides Sayaka on for real, I found them actually pleasing. I rooted for them, and I honestly like to see their battles. There are different motivations for being Keijo players, albeit some more apparent than others. Nozomi was all in your face with, I want to be a Keijo queen to get that prize money. Sayaka just wanted to wear cute bathing suits, and good on her for that. I don't recall Alba or Non's motivations for it. I think they were just there, but they were pleasant to be around. They,
I think
one had...
before you keep going, I think Non's thing was that she was from the country and she wanted to bring some more attention to her countryside. Like-
there it is.
Like little town. Like she wanted to represent them and bring a good name to them or something. Continue. Sorry. I just
No, it's fine. It's just basically, I mean, they're not the deepest of characters, but at the same time, they have cool power sets. Even the side characters, like Kawaii, the blonde girl with the hypnosis tits. I can't remember her name off the top
boob
of my head.
hypnosis, that was Mio. How do I
Mio.
remember more about this show than you do?
Listen, my mind is
I know why. Because I was actually trying to find a story here and you were looking at all the pretty moves and flashy tits. Got it.
Yes, it's true. Yeah, we're watching the same show, but we're trying to go at it at different angles.
John,
Either
do
way,
you remember all their names? Do you remember the...
Yeah, I was about to say.
I have a list up of all their names.
That's
here,
cheating.
so I'm
you
That's
get prepared.
cheating. Do you remember them?
No,
My boy.
I will
boy.
blatantly admit I don't remember their names.
Cheaters!
I am terrible with names in general.
Uh-huh.
I
I was
marathon
about
this
to-
Okay.
thing very quickly. So.
Okay, John, there are a bunch of girls fighting in swimsuits. I understand.
Who is best girl?
I guess that would be a fun thing. Who is your favorite character in this show?
I'm actually really tempted to say Kazane or Alba.
High five, my man.
I can see that. I'm gonna go with Sayaka.
You know what,
I
ironically...
really like Sayaka as well, but yeah.
I mean, ironically, me and John like Alba, and you like Saika, and I like Saika as well. But ironically, we all picked characters that actually had a fucking story.
Except for Nozomi, she was just there.
I mean, Nozomi wasn't just there. She obviously had motivations, and she was the quote-unquote main character of the story, but there was nothing about her that I personally felt attached to, because with, like, Alba, she was the legit, like, underdog, and I just wanted her to win.
Maya had more background introduction, like, backstory going on than Nozomi, but...
Yeah.
I mean, Nozomi's interactions were interesting, but I think that what was really interesting about the show, and you guys have to tell me this, because this is how I felt, so we were attached to characters, but was the type of show that this is... make it really hard for you to really, like, feel for them. Because, like, for example, like, I felt for Alba a lot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just, like, if she, like, fell down or had a hard time, something in the back of my brain was going, this is a show about girls wrestling with their tits. And I want to feel bad for you. But you're crying because you're not good at the sport. About fighting with your tits. Or when Nozomi was like, I must learn this power, and they were like, it's going to cause you pain, and she literally gets on the ground and is like, please, teach me the vacuum butt cannon.
I recall when we watched that, you lost your shit. You're just like, why?
There were these moments that were supposed to be so... and I don't know if they did it on purpose, but for me, it was hilarious. And I was wondering if you guys... had that same reaction, or had a disconnect that, for better or for worse, was there.
I have a disconnect, but then again, I watched, like, Kuroko no Basket, I watched a little bit of Eye Shield, some of Haikyuu, and Food Wars, where it's just, like, not in a jokey, sort of, like, Alba's case, it was not a jokey situation, but, like, in all those other mediums, they've lost as well. Like, some are... like, you get more invested with characters than others. Like, Cass, you've seen Haikyuu. Like, you got invested with those boys. Same with Kuroko no Basket. They've lost a few matches in basketball. So you get invested with those boys.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like you could take them seriously because it was a real sport.
Yes. So I suppose that's the disconnect here, right? It's essentially a fake sport, or a game show-esque sport with shonen-esque...
but it's
escalated
taken
powers
so seriously in the show.
Yes.
Which is great. I think that's part of the show's comedy.
Yeah. It is definitely
comedy.
part of the show's charm, but there is definitely that kind of disconnect between, you can't take it seriously, and therefore you can't feel that serious about the characters, and, like, even... I'm gonna have to save this comment for spoiler territory.
Yeah.
I think it really, but
well,
even some of the characters later on that, like, they have, like,
more backstory,
legit
more
trauma
backstory.
In some cases.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
It's like,
okay.
It's like, okay, I get where you're coming from. I kind of feel for you, but.
Listen, yo. Insecurities and feeling like you need to be the best that no one ever was can put a lot of pressure on you, okay?
Is my real test. To train
them is my cause.
Okay. Quick question before we move on to... Actually, I guess this could go in production unless somebody has another comment about characters.
No, I don't really have anything.
There is actually one other thing I want to mention about the series, and this is actually going back to the whole fan service thing.
That was actually where I was going to go. I was going to be like, so speaking of our topic today, what did you guys actually think of the fan service?
It wasn't overt, interestingly enough. Despite it being a sport about girls fighting with their tits and butts, it wasn't like, oh man, we're going to grow... Well, okay, there... And that's weird, right? Because there is bits where they are jokes with the tits and the butts, and they grope each other. But, that's odd Japan sense of comedy. But the sport itself wasn't just like, man, look at those tits, and then you see, like, a nip slip every now and again. No, it was a weird disconnect.
What were you gonna say, John?
am I-
Before I kind of hijacked.
Going back to the fact that there's the sexual kind of fan service, and then there's the good kind of fan service that's a nod to the thing. I actually found that Keijo had that other kind of fan service in it as well, with the fact that so many of these girls' abilities and powers were actually nods and references to other shonen and other, other things out there, like Aoba's ability, Gates of Booty Loan, which is a blatant nod to
Fate.
Gates of Babylon from Fate, which is Gilgamesh's ability. And there's so many of these that it's like, okay, that is a nod to that, and I actually really appreciate that.
Yeah, there were a lot of references. I think there was like an Attack on Titan one. There was a there was a samurai reference too. I don't know exactly what it was.
What was her name?
The girl who like had like a quick draw nipple or something.
Yeah.
Oh god.
There was a lot of stuff in there, but at the same time, like, God, this is one of those really weird shows where it's like the fan service is so part of it that it actually feels like it's actually supposed to be there.
Yeah,
it's really weird.
And it's not like trying to tease you. It's more just like, holy shit, they dialed this extreme up to 11, and the fan service, like, in one case, Sayaka's essentially gropes herself to a point where she gets her nipples hard to essentially suplex a person over her to knock them out.
Judo throw.
And I'm like,
yeah,
judo throw. And I'm like, holy shit, that's fucking dope.
Well,
but
they're not allowed to use their hands, so she has to catch hold of
somehow
their clothes somehow.
But there were moments of legit fan service in this show that when they did them, it was so annoying. Like, for example, there was a one fight in particular where they collided and it did like a very very close in on her vagina, and it was like oozing liquids, and they were talking about how she couldn't control herself because she was so turned on. And I was like, my fucking god, they went there.
Yeah.
And it was one of those moments where I was like, okay, Joe, you were doing so good.
Cass, I got a question for you.
Yeah?
Because you're more of an analyst than I am. You have an eye for quality. What did you think of the production value?
Actually, that's a good thing that all of us can talk about, because as John mentioned, like, there were a lot of situations where their attacks referenced almost accurately the reference they were making a reference to. Take a shot for every time I said reference in that last sentence. And all of the attacks in this show were done so outrageously, and I think that's one of the reasons why the fan service is so quote-unquote good, is because it's just as ridiculous as the shit they're referencing from shonen anime.
Yeah. And that's why I like it, honestly, because it is extreme. When I saw the trailer with the vacuum butt cannon, literally pressurized air, I'm like, that's like a girl using her butt to do the Rasengan from Naruto. That's fucking how? Okay. I want to see how that happens.
What are you going to say, John? I heard you in the background going,
Sorry about that.
Oh, no, you're fine. You had a good point.
Yeah, going back to the references and the art quality, when they made a blatant reference to, like, Attack on Titan, for the moment where they're like, this Attack on Titan, the art style for, like, that freeze frame, if you will, had actually briefly switched to the art style from Attack on Titan, and
Oh yeah, I do recall.
And like the Gate of Butalon,
that was pretty.
Yeah,
So many butts.
It was the exact same animation and look as Gates of Babylon, and the art style was consistent and stylized in its kind of unique way, and I'd say that the production quality was really high and quality was up there.
Yeah, and they kept it relatively consistent, which is nice.
Yeah.
And also a lot of these battles take place on water, which water is really hard to fucking animate, and they did a pretty decent job.
Yeah, and there was one bit where in the very last episode, I think it was last episode, either last episode or the second last episode, where the land that they're on has sunk, and Nozomi was standing right at the water's edge, and they had this low shot, and I couldn't help but notice that on her legs, you know how the light reflects off water in that weird way that you get that ripple, that sort of wavy, ripply kind of effect shining on the walls around you? They had that on her legs, and that's what you would see in that scenario, in that angle. You would see those weird, wavy shines on someone's legs in that angle, and I was like, they really didn't need to do that, but I really appreciate the fact that they took the trouble to do that. Really good attention to detail for a series that is about girls pushing people into the water with their tits and asses.
I was just about to say, again, I'll go on record by saying I'm not necessarily the biggest, the pickiest when it comes to, the production value, unless the characters look god-awful, and they don't look janky when animating. I'll be like, man, that fight was cool, or whatnot. Mind you, I have seen janky animation. Look at some of the fight scenes in the budget with Naruto Shippuden. It's all over the place. This one kept it consistent. It was clean. It animated very well, and it looked extreme with the power sets and the collisions and whatnot. I liked it. It was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cass, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, so in the battle scenes, or the action scenes, and that's what the show, I would kind of tell people is, it's an action comedy. It's what it is.
Very much.
Those scenes are nice, but there are a lot of stills, which is a problem. They're pretty stills, but there are some stills, and especially during those action scenes, the backgrounds do not move a lot, and when they do pans out to the audience, it's very blocky. But other than that, what's in front of you on the screen is pretty good.
Yeah.
But you can see where their budget lied.
Yes, very much.
Also, the music in this show was really boring, and I didn't like it.
It's very serviceable. It's very just there, and that's about it.
Yeah, now that you mention it, beyond the opening engine, there's not really any moments I can think of that I was like, yeah, that was a cool song. It's like, nothing's really jumping out as memorable.
Honestly, I thought and this is just personally, but I thought the opening was kind of eh.
It is.
Really? Did it? I recall you liking it at first, but eventually did it grate on you?
I liked the opening of the opening where it sounded like it was actually going to be an interesting rock song, and then this high pitched girl started singing, and it was just really ear grating for me.
Okay, I thought it was all right. I mean,
it was okay, but it wasn't anything.
It wasn't bad. I liked the end song. I thought it was cute. I thought the end song was kind of cute. But yeah, overall, I think production-wise, the show was good.
Mm.
I don't know about you guys.
If you look for it, you can definitely see where
the presentation was.
B+.
Yeah,
I give it a B+ in production. If I give it a letter grade.
Yeah. Speaking of grades. Does anybody have anything else want to say anything, or do we want to go ahead and rate this piece of ass? Get it?
There is actually one last thing I want to bring up.
One more thing.
I actually came across some controversy regarding this from a feminist perspective.
Of course.
And
I've seen some people come out through the woodwork when it first aired.
So listen, if girls want to go out there and fight with their tits and asses, and this is totally, and in this world it's a respectable sport, so hey, you do what you want to do. I mean, I'm a feminist, and it's just you do what you want to do. I do understand that there's parts of this that are blatantly over-sexualizing women. There's no way to deny that.
No.
But at the same time, it's not done for that purpose. It's just to be dumb. It's a dumb show about dumb shonen references.
But there is actually a side of it which is sort of empowerment. If you get what I mean. They are taking control of their bodies to do these pretty amazing feats. And, a lot of the people that are talking shit about, no, this is horrible for feminism, if you actually read what they have to say about it, they clearly haven't actually watched it. They've just
Yeah.
seen still images and gone, these characters are blatantly underage. They're not. And
No, they're graduated from high school. That's the thing. All these girls are at least 18, and they make a point of that. And this is a thing in Japan. They are very big on rules, which is why in a lot of anime, you will not typically, unless it's a drama or something that is seen on very late night TV, you will not see a underage person drink. Because they can't put it in media that's going to be consumed by children. And Keijo, if it was going to be something that they felt was needing to be blatantly censored or not empowering, they would have just put it really late at night in a hentai block. But it's not. That's not what it is.
I was about to say, I feel as though I saw those and I saw a counter, like, I recall it was like, I think it was a Kotaku article where people were just like, anime has gone to hell. And then I saw comments on said article being like, yo, you guys are coming up with dumb articles. You clearly didn't watch the show. It's crazy.
I mean,
for the sake of being crazy.
Yeah. It's the same people who tried to sue Hallmark for saying they ripped off Yuri on Ice for that movie that they're releasing, and they're like, oh, this is blatant, like, heterosexual washing because it's an actual, like, heterosexual couple, and it was a book that was written before even Yuri on Ice came out. But people who are Yuri on Ice fanatics saw something that was similar, and this isn't an anime, by the way, it is a Hallmark television show in the United States.
There's a show called Yuri on Ice that's a Hallmark
No,
show?
I didn't say it's called Yuri on Ice. I'm saying Yuri on Ice people got really pissed off because this Hallmark movie, I don't remember what it's called. It's like Love on the Ice or something. I don't know, but it features a heterosexual couple, and because it was a heterosexual couple that was about an ice skating story, they were like, it's ripping off Yuri on Ice, and there were a bunch of people who were like wanting to sue and put up petitions because they didn't actually do their research. And when Hallmark made a comment, they were just kind of like, we didn't even know Yuri on Ice existed.
What is anime?
Basically, people need to understand that this is a niche activity.
Yeah.
But anyway, like, people will always say things. There are people who are trying to get Kuzuno Honkai taken off the air because they think it's too sexual.
What?
I was about to say I wouldn't know one way or the other on that one.
Yeah, somebody, I don't know, some women's group, like, wrote the, because here's the other thing, Kuzuno Honkai airs really late at night.
Yeah.
But they said that, it's airing late at night, but that's not good enough. Like, it just needs to not be on, it just shouldn't be on cable television where children should access it. And it's like, well, maybe you shouldn't have your children be awake at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly. Don't blame the series for your bad parenting.
But I mean, that in and of itself is a whole other issue that maybe we could write down. But I mean, people are going to get their panties in a bunch.
Yeah, it's just my main comment is if you're gonna try and raise a stick about a series, at least
watch it.
Do some research and watch it your fucking self before you try and
very much
make any noise about it. Because otherwise, straight away your opinions are invalid. Because again, the article I came across was making it out to be child porn, and it's like, one, there is no sex in this. It's very sexualized, but there is actually no sex, and 2, they are not underage at all. So, fuck off.
Yeah, there's no sex in Keijo. There is... They are all at least 18. They do look younger, obviously, but it's anime. There are some girls who look blatantly young.
I was honestly... I was about to say, I know we're getting a little off the beaten path here, but
we're not, because he was making a comment about Keijo and how people are trying to say that this is a show and judge a book by its cover as it is. And I mean, honestly, if you are somebody who is offended by fan service, I would still at least give it a watch, because I get offended easily by fan service, but I thought this was fucking hilarious. But if you don't like it, don't watch it.
Yeah, I was more just saying, like, maybe, my thought was, like, if they're saying they are children, does that imply that people that watch anime think it's all just like fucking child porn and like fucking dumbass
They
shit.
probably think
don't-
anything that has girls slightly sexualized
In high school.
situations. Not even
these
necessarily just
girls-
in high school. It was.
I was about to say,
probably
these
any
girls... Yeah, these girls aren't in high
Yeah,
school,
yeah.
though. And that's the point. Like, this is a gambling sport, so they purposely made all of these girls, like, you cannot even become a Keijo player until you are of legal age. Like, they made
Yeah.
a point of that, of saying that at the beginning of the show.
Yep.
So,
It's a stinger, or it's the opening line every episode.
yeah, you have to be, and maybe they did that on purpose, but after she graduated high school, that's when she went and did this. So all of these girls are of age. You don't have to feel like a pedo watching it. There are boobs, there are tits, and there is some blatant fan service at times. There's blatant fan service through the entire show, but it's mostly a huge joke. The show is stupid and ridiculous. That's all you need to know about it. And I can't recommend it to everybody. If that is not your cup of tea, I would say still take a sip. But if you realize it's still not your cup of tea, throw it out the window.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And throw it into the ocean like we did as a sign to the Brits back in the day.
Hey!
Wow.
Hey man, our country's independence was based around throwing tea into an ocean.
So,
I was making a joke on us, not you. Americans throw fits
Lol.
in the weirdest of ways.
Lord Dewey. So anyway, how many stars are we rating this bad boy?
Right, we should
What are
probably
feeling?
do that, because at this point we're only going to have like 15 minutes to talk about spoilers. But then again,
True.
there's not that much to spoil. So,
No, not
True
really.
that. What do we got?
what about you, Craig? You go first.
I give this a 3.5 out of 5, equatable to a 7 out of 10. It's enjoyable, not the deepest, but it's a fun ride. Again, like Cass said, if fan service ain't your thing, I still say at least watch the first or second episode, and if you still aren't feeling it, then bounce. You know, variety's the spice of life. Just try something new. Don't be a douche nozzle.
I mean, just because you don't like this stuff doesn't mean you're a douche nozzle.
Sorry, douche nozzle for judging it prematurely.
Yeah.
I mean,
There it is.
I mean, like, for example, my boyfriend typically loves stupid, silly shows with over-the-top comedy, which is why we're really getting into Konosuba together, which
Right.
we'll talk about it another time. But he watched the first episode of Keijo and hated it.
Yeah, I find
So-
that's an interesting case. Whereas, if I recall, you said your friend Rin is not the biggest proponent of this sort of thing at all, and she actually really dug it.
I wouldn't
So-
say she really dug it. She just thought it was interesting. We only watched, like, the
fair.
first couple episodes. But I was showing her, like, this show
Okay.
has way more production
Potential.
value than it really deserves, is what I was
Fair
showing her.
point.
But,
Fair point.
But I mean, I guess since I'm already talking, I will go. But yeah, but just because you typically like fan service and over the top comedy does not mean you will like this. But it means you should at least try it. If you do
Yeah.
not like those kind of things, but you want to try something new, give it a shot. You may like it, you may not. It's not going to hurt you to waste 20 minutes of your life. But that being said, I ended up giving this show a 3 out of 5, which the reason being is that it has no plot, it has no substance. It's like when you watch that sitcom with your friends just to fill space.
Comfort food.
Yeah. It's not something that I'm going to recommend to people, but it's something that if somebody had it on, I'd probably watch it. Because it's enjoyable, but it's not something that I can overly recommend. However, it does have good production value. Some of the characters are really interesting. And it's one of the few fan service animes I've watched and actually kind of liked. So it deserves at least it doesn't deserve anything lower than a 3, in my opinion.
Jeff Bill?
Yeah, I think 3.5, around about there, is a good score. It's dumb. It's not trying to be anything beyond dumb. It knows it's dumb. It's gonna have fun being dumb. And just
Enjoy the ride.
enjoy the ride. That's all you can really do with it. And
Yeah.
That
If-
adds up to about a 3. Yeah.
Yep.
3.33. So we'll round it to a 3. And yeah, that seems about right.
Okay.
So, Craig, that being said, you want to transition us into our spoiler section by maybe mentioning our socials one more time?
Okay. I will do that. I like how Cass is subtly just like kind of driving the car. She's like,
I'm not driving the car. I'm just pointing at the map
you're not,
and being like, typical man, why won't you ask for directions? And you're like, no, I can drive. And I'm like, but we missed the pit stop. Could we just, park the car at that gas station over there and look at the map? And you're like, bitch, no.
I was equating this to the metaphor used yesterday when I hosted was,
Save Our Progress, right?
Yeah, it's just like, you're driving the car, but I'm the driving instructor, and you're gonna drive on this course, and let's see how you do. And I'm like, in this metaphor, I'm gonna crash the car, right? So let's drive on over. Let's parallel park this over into the next section, but before we do all that, let me hit you up with all of our socials one more time. So, as I said, this is Annie Chatbox, episode 11. We can be found on your playback devices. We have socials, so twitter.com/theanniechatbox. Emails, hit us up with an email. If you want to hear a topic, if you want to say, Craig, you're an awful host, or if you want to recommend a show for us to watch /review down the line, hit us up there, annechatmail@gmail.com. Also, we are now on everything outside of the YouTube space. We're on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, TuneIn, sorry. So we are on Android and your iPhone devices, iPod devices.
I like how earlier you said iApple at the very beginning of the show.
iOS.
iOS. iOS is an iPhone.
iOS. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I love you all. If you are going to stick around, we are going to be kind of like rambling on what we felt about the quote-unquote spoilers of Keijo. So,
get out, go away. If
you don't want
to be
for those who don't
on what little story there is.
Yeah, I was about to say. Okay, are we good?
Yeah, we good. So,
okay.
What do you want to bring up first, Craig? What do you want to do?
So listen,
I got beef. I got beef.
You got chief beef?
I do.
There is no chief beef with me.
It's $2.50 at the store. It's on sale because it's expired. That kind of beef.
I wouldn't want that beef.
No, you don't, and that's what kind of beef I have. So, listen, you go first.
Okay, there is no chief beef with me because it's, it may be typical. It may be a cliche of a sport. Right? But you have to have a tournament arc.
Oh, I had no problem with the tournament. I actually thought it was really cool that they had the whole East versus West
thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they had a training camp montage.
Training montage.
Yes. So it's predictable in that sense. Mm. But despite that, it escalated. Every battle escalated. It got better, and they won.
Yeah.
They won the tourney, and Nozomi was the last one. And they fucking did a power... Kawai caressed her boobs and then transferred her power to Nozomi to give Nozomi a costume change a la Dragon Ball Z. And then she was wearing a scarf and then she fucking kicked ass.
Am I the only person that kind of wanted them to lose?
There was a bit of me that was like, okay... They've won the first round. They're gonna lose the second round because Nozomi has to have a revenge match against Maya, and she's gonna win the revenge match ultimately and drive Maya
so predictable.
So,
I mean, then again, I guess that's also like it's not a bad thing about the show, but it's also one of those things that just makes it like not that great. But then again, it's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be anything crazy and great. But
it's interesting.
Actually, I take it back.
How they lost round 2, that surprised me. The fact that they did make it such a close.
Yeah, they actually came to an instant replay. Actually, I take back everything I said before. I want everybody to lose but Alba because she deserves to win once. Jesus fucking Christ.
Hey, she came close. It was by like the millimeter.
Times. I feel like the whole point of her to be there was to like. Be sad, even though she was working arguably harder than anyone.
I know, right? I was like, oh, I feel sorry for Alba. You just win once.
She's actually somebody who has, tactical brains, which is why she was kind of appealing.
Yeah, she was a coordinator of team efforts and whatnot, and she utilized everyone's abilities with the Gate of Babylon.
Well, not even just that, but she would tell people, okay, this is our game plan.
Yep, yeah, that's what I said. She's a coordinator, essentially, of team stratagems, which is really cool, right?
I just wanted her to win once, but she never did. Spoiler.
No.
And the fact that how they got it to be so close, even that how they got it from a 4v4 to a 2v4, really quickly in that tournament match. I thought, wow, that was really clever.
It was. I wasn't expecting that. That was pretty neat.
Yeah.
If if they won or they lost at the very end of it, honestly, I don't think it would have really changed
I just wanted...
No.
I don't know what I wanted. I guess I just wanted something different, just because everything up to them was just such a very predictable shonen trope. But at the same time...
shonen sports trope, essentially.
But yeah, they were making fun of shonen sports tropes for the entire show, or just shonen in general, but...
Yep.
I don't know. I just wanted something, and I don't know what it was, but...
You were thirsty.
I wanted someone
something...
other than Alba to fail, which I guess Nozomi kind of did when she had to start. Okay, can we just talk about the radishes bullshit?
Listen, that was an intense training session.
That was the dumbest thing I have ever watched in my life.
Cass, can you do that with your hip?
No,
can you pull
nobody can just pull a radish out of the fucking ground with their ass.
Challenge accepted.
All right. Film it, we'll put it on our YouTube page.
I was about to say, just flex and then just pull, and then hopefully nothing breaks or I don't kill myself.
Oh my god. Just no.
No, it's right.
Just no. Just stop. Just stop what you're doing right now.
Okay, shut it down.
I guess that was also poking fun at, there's always that one really, really dumb method of training that shouldn't
unconventional,
wax on,
right?
Wax off.
Exactly.
The Karate... See, he gets it. The Karate Kid. He gets it.
I'm the one who made the reference, bro.
I know. I'm saying he gets it. I'm glad he gets it.
He gets it. Cassie doesn't get it. She made the reference, but she doesn't get it, and I don't, and it's great.
You don't?
I don't, and it's great.
I don't... Besides them winning, I don't really have anything else to spoil. It's an enjoyable ride all the way to the very end. I can't tell if they're going to make a season 2.
They have to. With how they ended it, it seems like it's setting up for a season 2, and that's the other beef I had, is how they ended it. The cheat beef. Is that they were like, oh, cool, now you're a professional, let's introduce you to all these other characters, which we may or may not give you a season 2. Who knows? We'll see how the Blu-rays sell. And this is something that just annoys me about anime in general. It's just let's find a way to sell our Blu-rays.
That could be another topic of discussion, how figure and Blu-ray sales dictate the possibility of a season 2, because unless it's a highly popularized manga, you aren't guaranteed to be greenlit for a season 2, which is sad.
Were there any spoilers you wanted to talk about, John? Other than things that we haven't talked. It's kind of. I guess we could very briefly talk about Maya and her whole thing. The whole multiple personality thing, because I found that to be kind of cheap and dumb. I liked the idea, I just think it was executed very... it almost seemed too overdramatic for Keijo.
Yeah,
it is.
We're not going to use our best players. Is it because you're looking down on them? Why aren't you using them? Oh, it's because... she's Maya's alternate personality that you all know of. How would this fit in the rules, and why?
Yeah, because technically isn't her fighting in general technically two people fighting at that point then?
I don't know. I was about to say...
And how would everyone else watching know that, there are two people that... Unlike, we've already established that we've got one set of twins and they're rare. How do they explain why there are these two other players that therefore look identical but
have different hair color too?
Somehow have different hair color.
That was okay. So the only point that I can draw to compare it to is like there's a character in Kirk No Basket that has multiple personalities, and it's kind of they flesh it out. They actually have a whole entire arc dedicated to the flashback and how characters became assholes and how he got multiple personalities and that. So I feel in Keijo's case, they kind of like fucking shotgun blasted through her whole entire backstory. She was insecure and like she wanted to be the best, which essentially drove her to do this. Akashi from Kuriko is kind of the same, and really he had multiple personalities and drew it out during their baller game.
Well, don't spoil anything about that though, because this is a Keijo spoiler fair point. Section, not a Kuriko no Basket spoiler thing. Last thing we want to do is spoil people who actually want to listen to the Keijo fair spoilers, point. Not the Kuriko no Basket. But either way, but at the same time, like Kuriko no Basket to me actually seems like a legit sports anime. Because let's be honest, Keijo is not a legit sports anime. It is a action comedy that happens to have a sport that it's centered around. And I don't know, to me, from what little I've seen of Kuriko no Basket, sorry, my brain just died for a second. Kuriko no Basket, it actually is a huge character study of how each person does their own role and how they're affected via playing basketball and how they work as a team or how they for a reason don't work as a team. But Keijo isn't that kind of show, and to me it was just like they in that last episode were like, oh hey, we didn't give any real characters with an actual story or background. I mean, here's this one.
Let's kind of just throw it in at the very tail end of it.
Yeah.
Oh no, she thinks that if she loses, she's gonna be kicked out and is gonna be homeless and ridiculed and traumatized.
And then,
I mean, they could have done that without multiple personality disorder.
Yeah.
And then her mom comes in and she's like, her adoptive mom's like, hey, so I appreciate you regardless. And then she's like, Mommy, why? Ah. And I'm like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah, watching the whole thing, it's like, okay, I get why you're so determined, and I get that you are scared of this possibility, but come on, Nozomi's not doing this to try and ruin your life. And once this is all said and done, Nozomi's probably gonna want another match against you eventually anyway, so she's gonna be encouraging you to come back.
It's the shonen like mentality.
To an extent, I get her thing, and I understand why it was there, and I see what they're trying to do, but I don't understand why it was necessary.
Yeah.
Like, why they needed to have such a intricate backstory, and such an intricate backstory that they decided to play through in like 3 seconds too.
I was about to say, do you feel as though if they did introduce it, you wanted it to be fleshed out over the course of
like at least a few episodes, or at least showing that like she's struggling with these two personalities, or show the flashback of her childhood. Maybe when she's trying to, because that's the thing, like she defended the coach when the coach was being a fucking bitch towards the beginning of that arc anyway, and then for some reason
that's where their beef came from. So like they could have done something.
They could have put it there. They could have had a flashback of why she cared about it. Because up until that point, I just kind of thought the coach was a bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I still think the coach is a bitch, because it's just like, if you're such a nice lady and care so much about these kids, then like, why are you being such a dick to these other people who are probably in the same space as your quote unquote your quote unquote adopted daughter? Like, you'd think that she would see more of them, or more of her in them, in that this other school was trying to develop young women to achieve their dreams.
I get the rivalry.
Yeah, but she's
the two schools.
Bitch,
you don't have to be a complete bitch about it.
I was about to say, it's funny because after they lose, she goes up to the other teacher, the short teacher, and she's like, it's just like, good match out there. I'm like, man, so I guess you became humbled after your adopted daughter almost like, quote unquote, after she had her nervous breakdown. You're just like, oh shit, I was kind of being an asshole to everyone. Oh, it's okay, you're good. Also, hi coach of other team, how's it going? Good game. Good GG easy.
GG no re.
GG no re.
But yeah, I mean, I don't have
That's
much.
Basically all I got.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't have much else to say about Keijo. I mean, those
Not
were some.
really.
I mean, most of my quips were in the spoiler section, if anything. So that shows that overall the show, for the most part, was pretty good. Or at least for what it was good, I guess. It's not like a groundbreaking anime. It's just there.
It's still a very fun series to watch. It's
horrible.
not perfect, but then what is?
Clanad, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Your Lie in April.
Listen.
Oh yeah, I was gonna bring
Naruto's-
up Your Lie in April.
Continues to list other perfect anime, in my personal opinion, that can do no wrong. Hunter x Hunter.
Listen. Naruto Shippuden.
Okay, go fuck yourself. Just kidding. Just kidding.
I will.
I mean,
know,
you don't even know that.
When you mentioned the going back to the fan service thing at the start, when you mentioned the whole fact that Fuka gets described as girl thinks he's locked up her took a
Skirt,
photo of her
yeah.
panties and broke her phone. Like,
Well, she
was
broke his phone.
broke his phone, yeah. Towards the start of Your Lie in April, there is a scene where she thinks he's looking up her skirt and attacks him for it, and you don't hear any of
dwell
that
on
in the
that, though.
description of Your Lie in April.
Yeah, the difference between those two scenes, though, is that I think you actually kind of do see, like, an outline of Fuka's underwear, whereas in, I don't know, in Your Lie in April, it seemed almost natural, because he actually did have his... I mean, I'm gonna be honest, if I was standing there, and there was a guy standing below me, like, let's say when I was going up the escalator at a con once, and I was in a really short skirt, if I turned and looked behind me, and there was a guy with his phone out looking directly at me, what would my assumption be?
True. Fair enough.
I mean, I felt like her assumption was real, whereas if you actually watch Fuka, and we'll talk about it later, I feel like we shouldn't get into this now, but he wasn't really looking at her.
No.
She just made an assumption because he had a phone in her. He had a phone in his hand, so she just made an assumption, which made her kind of look like an idiot. But they get over it. It's fine. But I still feel like Your Lie in April. That wasn't necessarily a fan service moment, and more of a just a quippy, silly
not
moment.
really fan service in Your Lie. Not that kind of fan service. So anyway, in Your Lie in April.
Not really. I can't really think of any scenes where
Nope.
anything was really over-sexualized in that show, but that being said...
Well, that being said, this has been Any Chatbox, episode 11. As always, it has been our pleasure to serve you this fine and lovely day. Hit us up on the socials. I'm not going to repeat them again. If you've been here long enough, then clearly you've heard them once or twice before. So...
Once, twice, 3 times. 3!
Let's switch it up, ladies and gentlemen. Peace out.
Dude, we made that joke last time! I think we did.
Yeah, we did.
So. Oh well. Have a good night, everyone.
Got the feed.
Got the feed.
Good night.
Bye! Bye!
Bye-bye.
おやすみなさーい。